This is David Cruz with the Optimum Advantage Podcast. Today I'm here with Barbara Steinberg. She's the CEO of eFraud Services, and I'm excited to have her on today. How you doing, Barbara?
Great, great. How are you, David?
I'm doing okay. So can you tell us a little bit about eFraud Services, kind of like what you guys do and how you got started?
Yep. We're a SaaS software business, AI driven, and our primary market is fraud detection, which means after the crime was committed, our customers are the investigators who are finding out who did it, where did the money go, and catching the bad guys.
Wow. Oh, so that gets outsourced to you.
Yeah, I see. Well, yeah, we're kind of a nichey thing. I'll explain it to you.
Sure.
When you have a financial fraud, and some of these cases are really crazy. I've seen some big schemes and stuff like that. They have a ton of bank accounts. They're always moving money around, and I've seen cases with 40, 50 different bank accounts over time. They open up accounts in the name of their brother-in-law, their cousins, and stuff like that to keep the money moving, so nobody can see what's going on. So what
Uh-huh.
happens with the investigators is they go back sometimes 5 years. So typically, the fraud might have been committed a couple of years ago, and now they're investigating it, and they might need 5 years of bank statements before that. And if you think about your banks today, nobody has any of that online to begin with. You can't download that. So what they're
Um,
doing is they're getting paper documents, they're being scanned in, and then they want to analyze all the transactions and see what's going on, where, who's involved, and things like that. So it was a huge technical challenge. And I've been involved in this for over 10 years. I was actually selling software to do this. And it was kind of very manual. Um, and the challenge, the technical challenge is the banks, there's still about 4,000 banks in this country. And over the last however many years, there used to be like 10, 12,000 banks, and everyone has a different format. So that
uh,
is the challenge. And when we got started doing this about 5, 6 years ago, I said, AI, I was doing stuff manually. I said, AI must be able to do, what I'm doing. So
uh-huh.
that began the journey. And we worked with machine learning for 5 years. We had all these developers that said, yeah, we can do that. We can do that. And the accuracy was terrible. And when our guys, when they have a case, they go to court and they have to testify in court that the data is 100% accurate. So so I found the software company in Scotland, as a matter of fact, and did it. It was better than doing it manually, but there was still a lot of manual work involved. So I said, okay, AI. Didn't know anything about AI at the time. Must be able to do this. So we did this. We tried, didn't get anywhere. A little over a year ago, I was at a birthday party, and somebody said to me, I met somebody in AI, and he said, never going to work. He said, what you need is Gen AI. And he said, 2 weeks ago, you couldn't do this, but now, you'll be able to do it. So
Wow.
that's why I got involved in that a little over a year ago. And I'll just tell you a little bit more about the bank statements is why it's difficult. If you think about, let's say, invoices. So with machine learning, you just feed it a lot of, samples and things like that, and eventually it learns what it looks like. So I could feed the computer 200 invoices, and on 201, it says, okay, I know that's an invoice. Here are the fields that I need to extract. If I give it 200 bank statements on 201, it says, I don't have a clue. I've never seen that before. That's how different they are. Every bank has a different format. I mean, I can show
Wow.
you 30 different formats, for the Bank of America, and then they acquire banks and things like that happen. So huge technical challenge that nobody has really, conquered until now. And like I said, it's been a journey, it's been a technical journey, but we're there. So we're now able to take bank statements and process them in minutes, and and then have them ready for analysis and analyze them. And
And
some of these statements, like when you get into businesses and stuff,
yeah.
I've seen statements that have over 300 transactions in a month. So, to do that accurate, and then they upload the PDFs, and it may be a year's worth, maybe a couple of years worth. We don't know what's in it until the AI can actually read it, because when you upload the PDF, it's a scan of a document. So it's an image. So it's not like we're looking at numbers when it gets uploaded. We have to be able to look at that image and pull out the numbers accurately. So that's been the challenge, and the technology is just finally caught up.
And
So,
can I ask what's the difference? I know you mentioned Gen AI versus the
yeah,
normal AI. Like, what's the
yeah.
difference with that?
Yeah, Gen AI is the latest. It's the Chat GPT and the Gemini and things like that, where average, not average person, but you just go in and ask it open-ended questions and things like that. Whereas the machine learning is much more structured. You have to do it in a certain format and things like that. It's just the newer stuff that's come along. And it's interesting, last year, it's moving so fast. I mean, I just see it every day. It's advancing. There's new models coming out. It's getting smarter and smarter.
So that's where
And
you guys, like, you guys created the format off of one of those, LLMs, that the large language models that.
yeah, it's a little more complicated than that. We actually
Oh, I'm
created the
sure, I'm
prompt
sure.
to go in because it's not one format. If you think about a bank statement, you might have a balance at the end of the transaction. You might have a table of balances at the end and stuff like that. There's all kinds of crazy stuff. So it's actually to train the AI to recognize whatever it is to be able to figure out how to extract the data from that format.
What is your guys', 'cause I'm guessing it's, like, super important when you're, like, taking it to court and everything like that. How do you guys, is there a way to test, like, the accuracy of it? Do you guys already know what the accuracy is? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, what's interesting is now, again, with the Gen AI, the accuracy of just pulling out the data, what used to be OCR and, translating that is pretty high. I mean, I would say we get close to 100%. The challenge is sometimes when you're reading the statement, when they're uploading the statement or scanning it in, they may skip the bottom of the page or something. So you're missing transactions or the page is cockeyed or somebody writes notes on it and things like that. So there could be some errors. You could be missing transactions or it picks up something and makes it a transaction. Again, what's unique about what we have built-in error correction. So we verify right there. So we upload the files, we give them all the data, and we have a verification column. And we check, and if the balances match, it gets green check. If there's a discrepancy, it gives you the number. So, like, this is off $100. So you just click on correct, go to the page. We show you the original page. We show you, you can add a transaction, you can change the data, whatever, and it's updated in real time. So we know. So when they go to court, they could say, yeah, this balance is, here's the data to prove it.
That's crazy, and it's so impressive how, like, far AI has taken us just with the amount of tools that have come out. What have been some of the craziest things that you've seen in your field of work as far as cases? I'm sure you've worked a lot of, like,
Yeah.
strange, crazy
Yeah,
cases.
yeah, I was just going back to a couple of, big ones, that we worked on. There was one out of New York, as a matter of fact, on Long Island. This guy was an attorney. No, he wasn't the attorney. Started a tech business with his attorney, and what they were gonna do was revolutionize credit card processing. It was, we're gonna do it in a fraction of the time it takes now or for a fraction of the money, whatever it is. Raise $80 million from, like, friends and family. Never spent a penny of it on the business. Not one penny. He had apartments overseas. They had accounts. Everybody had accounts all over the place. It was the craziest thing you've ever seen. And we actually did that. And the response, and this is with the old software, from the attorneys who tried it, said that we were able to accomplish in 2 months with the analysis and everything what they couldn't do in 2 years.
Wow, that's crazy. That's definitely bad news for criminals. Between cameras and all this stuff, I mean,
Yeah.
it's great. It's getting so advanced. Um, and what's your main clientele? Is it, governments?
Yeah, it's very broad. We deal with federal government, the FBI, the IRS, the DoD. We know them, they know us. And then you get to the states, the Medicaid fraud control units, the Attorney General's offices. You wouldn't believe how many agencies there are, throughout the government, local governments, the sheriffs, the police. I had a county client. They were guardianship office. So when somebody is a guardian, appointed a guardian by the court to manage somebody's finances, well, guess what? They steal from those people. So they had two people full time that were just examining, the cases and things like that, and looking at it. So that's one side of it. The other
Oh,
side of it is forensic accountants who are actually doing this work directly. That's what they do. They're hired by attorneys or private people and stuff like that to do these investigations. So that there's a lot of them. So you have these accounting firms, you have single, professionals, private investigators, and businesses. Anybody's got a fraud problem. I once did a case for a guy. He two guys had a business, small business, a supermarket or something like that. He said, "I think my partner is stealing from me, stealing from the business." So he hired a forensic accountant, and they sent me the American Express statements from the business. They suspected that he was using the American Express card for his personal expenses. So, I pulled out all the data and analyzed and stuff like that, and sure enough, he was.
That's so crazy. I mean, I'm glad that there's a tool out here. Now I'm since you guys speak to forensic analysts, um, do they kind of like hire you to do the work that would take them manually like a long time to do it? Or is it are you guys like just a program that you like rent out or purchase, or are you actually like behind the scenes also like you know what I mean? What's the
You're
format
right,
of
yeah, no, I
yeah.
understand. Yeah, for a lot of years, I did the behind the scenes stuff. I was selling the old software, but it was hard to use, so a lot of people just hired me to do the service. That's how I really learned, the stuff and got involved in doing it. So I worked side by side, with the forensic accountant. What we have now is to replace all that, so you don't need me or anything else. It's a SaaS program, a software as a service. It's available from a browser. You don't have to install anything. You don't have to sign a contract. It's based on usage. You pay based on usage because we have some customers that need it, once in a while. We have other ones that use it regularly. So it starts off, you pay for the number of pages you use. The simplest thing is, create an account, upload your credit card, and however many pages you use in a day. We charge, you could charge for that, or you can sign up for a monthly or an annual. But other than the annual, which is prepaid, and the price obviously goes down, for more you sign up, but like the month to month, you can cancel any time, but there's an incentive because if you don't lose all your pages, it rolls over and it's also a little less money. So
Mm.
basically, it starts 95 cents a page is pay as you go. If you sign up monthly, 85 cents a page or 75 cents a page for annual. And then you can switch anytime. That's the other thing, if you have more of a need, less of a need. And it was all based on working with customers over the years, and then seeing what their needs were.
That's incredible. I mean, that's as efficient as it gets.
Yeah.
You kinda get the program, you don't need to deal with anybody else. Now I do have a question because I heard you mention something like when I guess some of these cases go to court, when you're there and I guess somebody's testifying that this information is accurate, do they need to, like, bring you up in any regard or no? Is it
Yeah, no, they bring the data with them.
the data?
They look,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. They're taking it, they're getting the reports and the analysis and everything else, and they're comfortable with that to say yes. But that whole verification step, that I told you about, that's how we prove that it is balanced.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so incredible. And how have you guys been doing? Like, what how have you been scaling so far? I mean, it seems like you've almost everybody's using it. How's that been?
It's been challenging, I'll say, and the reason it was challenging was because of the technology to get that straight. And it wasn't just because the AI part was kind of the easy part because like I did that. It was we worked with all these other software vendors all around us who couldn't get it to work. It's crazy. I've been in this industry a long time, and it's scary what happens and what goes on out there today. And everybody says, "I can do it, I can do it, I can do it," and they can't. So that delayed us, I will say, for a while. But now we're rolling.
So how long have you guys been up and running?
Technically, we've actually been only selling it for a couple of months because I wanted to be really sure, that it was working and solid and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
we've actually been at it for several years. We go every year, we go to a trade show and we'd have a demo. The software developer would say, "Yeah, here's a demo, go do it." And we'd have 100 people line up that say, "Great, great, great, I want it." And then we come back and say, "Okay, put it in production." Didn't work. So, I finally got personally involved in it, starting in June or so, to make sure it works. And the interesting part about that is, my skills are a little rusty. I use AI to update the programs, to write the programs. I'm using that for the coding to make it
Wow.
work. I'm using it as a tool.
That's so crazy. Yeah, like, I mean, we've gotten so far ahead with this technology that it's so impressive. I mean, just the things that I've been able to do with, like, my own company, just, like, it's almost like a new tool comes out, like, every week, like, when you're looking at AI.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
So, but with something like this, like, I get why you wanted to make sure it worked is because, like, I can't imagine being wrong as far as something of, like, a court case or something that, like, somebody's life literally depends on it, like,
yeah,
so
yeah,
I definitely think you made the right move as far as, making
yeah.
sure everything was good. Is this your first time being an entrepreneur or
No.
no?
No,
That's
I love it. I like wearing a lot of hats, doing a lot of different things. For like the marketing, I'm using AI for all the marketing now. I mean, I use AI for everything: my personal life, my business life. It's like here, I need an email. I need a paper or something like that. An ad or whatever it is. I just say AI. Here's what it is. Write it up. Here's who I'm selling to. It gives me strategies, it gives me emails, it tells me what to say, how to do it. It's amazing.
Oh my God. I mean, just the fact it's almost like having your own assistant because I guess most people know that you could use like ChatGPT, Claude, whatever your preferred
Right.
LLM is, and you could kind of teach it like everything about your business. It gives you advice and all that stuff. But where I think it's really starting to shine is where like these N8N flows are coming together, which is basically like you get like one AI is now talking to another and it creates this entire machine structure where like you can have one that reads your emails. The other one basically creates responses based on the information you give it. The other one like creates content based on what you have. You don't even have to have somebody there. That's what's getting crazy is
Right.
that like you just film yourself like once, show maybe some pictures, and it like will create video like content. Even social media now is just becoming
Yep.
so advanced with AI, and navigating that space I think is going to be more of a challenge than finding the tool, you know?
Exactly, exactly. One of my pet peeves today is that you can't talk to anybody. That frustrates me. And then
Hmm.
that's not how I do my business. I'll talk to anybody. I have people, we want you to call us and talk to us and interact. I was trying to cancel an account the other day and I could not figure how to do it. I couldn't chat. I couldn't talk to a person. There was no phone number. I sent emails. It was the craziest thing. That drives me crazy. Uh,
Yeah, it's frustrating when you're like on the phone with your credit card company and you keep
right,
pressing 0 and it's like, "Well, tell us your date of birthplace," and like,
right.
"What's your
Yeah.
account number?" And you're just like, "Ah." So I
I
definitely
and
get
scream
that.
at the first person. I wanna talk to a person. I scream literally.
I feel your frustration because like there it's I think what AI is good for is kind of like the grunt work of things we
Yeah.
need. Like I know like there's AI voice receptionists now that like is like they're really like far advanced, but I
Mhm.
think some of the businesses that use them the most efficiently are the businesses that are just like, okay, you use this for booking and you can get somebody there, and if they need information it's there, but if
Right.
they want to talk to somebody it should just be like, then you have somebody there because it might be a question that it could take somebody to answer like, I don't know, like 10 seconds, whereas like the AI you have to go through like 9 different prompts to get to. So it's like, but it's getting
Exactly.
more advanced. I'm hoping
Oh,
it
yeah,
like
yeah.
within the way this is that like in the future. Matter of fact, I was actually talking to one of my friends and they have mixed the AI with like a video AI to where like you can go onto the screen and it's like you're talking to basically like a chat GBT, but it has
Mhm.
a face. Like so
Yeah,
like as you're speaking to it, it literally looks like you're speaking to another human being, and it's just like something we could have only imagined in movies, you know?
yeah. Well, speaking of movies, I saw something the other day on TV. It was a fight between Brad Pitt and, Tom Cruise. Like, it was in a movie, like, and setting and everything else, and it looked like it was real in a movie and stuff like that, and it was all AI generated.
I was like, I didn't hear about this. Yeah, it's getting so realistic. Like it's so crazy. I'm actually kind of scared of that where they like you could just type in anything and like it'll replicate it. Like,
Yeah, yeah, you have
I'm
to be
sure.
really, really careful. There's no question about
Yeah.
that.
And
Yeah,
did you think it was gonna be like? Because I know you've been in this business a while.
yeah,
Like, did
yeah.
you ever envision this being the way you'd go? Like,
Yeah, never and never imagine it could just keep advancing so quickly.
yeah, I'm surprised too because it's like I didn't think that I would be so into the tech side. Like I was never like a tech person, but then
Right,
just
yeah.
as necessity came and it just like you said, it makes it so easy to where like developing websites, coding, like that's all
Right,
being
right.
like used through prompts that you can make. It's just like it's
And yeah, in our case, it was the only thing that worked, in terms of technology to do this. And the challenge for us, if you think about AI, the beauty of it is you ask it and it has all this information and it goes out and captures everything. In our case, it has to do the same thing exactly the same every time. So that was the
mm.
challenge to force it, to do what it wasn't designed to do.
Right, right, and it's actually I don't know if you've heard about some of these, like, AIs that they've had that they'll actually they put a bunch of them together on, like, this platform. I think it's like a website where they could all speak to each other, and they started to develop, like, different ways to, like, hide, like, their language from the people that were viewing it, so they, like, created their own languages. They were like, they one of the, problems was that they couldn't remember the stuff because they were programmed not to remember past certain conversations, and then the conversations, like, they were figuring out ways to remember, so it's just, you
Yes.
know, as
That's
great
the
as it is.
scary part. Yeah, that's the real scary part.
But I'm excited. I like where everything this is going. I love that the fact that you can even have companies like yours that are, like, so, like, incredible as far as tools, to be able to do a lot of these things. How have you been, like, advertising as far as, like, have you been on social media? Like, or I know you said
Yeah.
you use AI, like, have you been doing
Yeah,
that stuff
yeah.
or
LinkedIn is probably, you know, where most of our market is. I mean, we have huge organizations too. The largest organization is called the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners. They have 94,000 members worldwide, globally. So, you know, we go to we exhibit at their conferences. I'm trying to work out a deal with them now to give their members a member discount that on their website that would take them directly to us. So, yeah, the CPAs, Florida CPA Association. So I'm trying to hit some big groups, but I've used Sales Navigator in the past very successfully. And I
Mm.
really like it. I've got, you know, a huge network of people, and I just reach out to them. I mean, I have some, you know, emails, but personal emails. I personalize them, you know, I copy and change the names and stuff like that. But just to engage people, get in conversations. You know, the problem I have with LinkedIn is everybody's trying to sell me something, and it drives me crazy. So I'm just talking to people and having conversations, and if you know they have a need, you know, that's fine. And if not,
Well,
it's not.
that's the thing is, like, sales navigators are great, especially LinkedIn for the kind of, the niche that you're hitting. I'm sure a lot of government officials are on
Yeah,
there, sheriffs,
yeah.
all that. It's like the perfect way for you to grow. Have you tried using, Dripify in combination with Sales Navigator? Do you know what that is?
I'm not familiar with that, no.
Oh, so it
Oh,
basically, like, it automates the messaging for you to that,
oh,
like, whenever somebody, like, gets back to you, like, then you can start the actual conversation, but it helps you, like, reach a lot of people, whereas you don't have to do it manually as much. There's a lot of different stuff out there that's
yeah,
just,
yeah, I've used some of them, Linked Helper is another one, and I'd used another one in the past. Recently, though, and I guess I got this from AI because I get everything from AI, they said, "Don't use the automated tools, you know, do the manual, you know, one at a time is more successful." Type thing. I do have
Mhm.
something called Surf, in my Sales Navigator, and it enriches the data, so, as soon as I pull up somebody, it gives me their email, it gives me their phone number.
Oh, that's like the perfect lead. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
You could reach out directly, and there's something always about, like, direct reach when it feels organic, because I guess so many people have the automated reach out system that it does make sense when, you could feel it, you know? Like,
yeah,
some of the best people that are, like, marketing people that, like, do cold emails, some of their best emails are the ones now that are, because it used to be different. Before, it used to be about grabbing your attention, and
right.
now it's about, engaging somebody emotionally, because that's what's kinda lacking with when you do the automated messaging. So it's cool. It's like
Oh,
it's always it's like from one year to another, it always you have to
right,
keep up
right,
with it, but
yeah. I did just, engage a company to do posting on LinkedIn, because I don't have time, you know, and they know the algorithms and stuff like that, so they just started this week, and they're posting 4 times a week, to do that.
yeah. No, that's another good thing, and also, especially since you're reaching out to people using the Sales Navigator,
Right.
the algorithm actually promotes you better when you have stuff like that, and then, like, when they see that you're posting all the time, like, your reach is crazy. It's just it's a very, smart move to do that. Have
Yeah.
you optimized your profile too? Like, I know
That's, part of, what they're
what
gonna do
they're
for me
doing.
is that
Yeah.
yeah, and then I think the next step is to do that. Yeah, my profile hasn't been updated in a long time. That's the
I'm
other
the
thing.
same.
Yeah.
When I was doing it, I was like, I get stuck on, like, the perfectionism of it, but it wasn't like, I had one of my buddies, his name is Jordan, and, I never used to be in this field, by the way. Like I used to, like I was telling you, I was the union president for one of the municipalities here, and I ended up getting injured. My leg got hurt, so
Uh,
I had a big metal plate. It was like 800 pounds. It fell on my left leg, and it like crushed it. So I was
uh,
home, and I was just recovering, and I ended up looking. That's when AI was exploding and all these things. And one of my friends, my buddies, actually worked for Jordan. And so I started like helping him out doing work because I was just interested more just to learn AI. I was doing it for free. So then he like he was I was helping him. I got to meet Jordan. He has this company. It's the biggest AI um uh enablement company in the world, and he's
mhm.
making like I think he's like at 400 some I forgot the exact number, but it's over $400 million a year in revenue. And he was like, I was talking to him, and that same week that he was telling me, he was like, dude, I just made it on Forbes. And I'm like, I can't believe I'm talking to this guy. Like it was, and there was never been a time in life where you could even reach people like this.
Right,
So it was like
exactly. Yeah,
so cool.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
got to learn a lot of like the things that they were doing as far as like helping companies. It's
yeah,
just been an absolute blessing. And yeah, like that's why I even know about the stuff like what you're talking about with that
yeah,
company with like,
yeah,
the LinkedIn and all that stuff,
yeah,
because it's super successful. Like now with AI, like every time it's getting better. And you learn little things like Claude is better for like
right,
marketing
yeah,
than
yeah,
ChatGPT is,
yeah,
just little
yes,
stuff. So I try to give value a little bit whenever I can.
yeah.
A lot of my
Yeah,
friends.
also in my field, a lot of networking too. I happened to meet somebody a few weeks ago who's been around. He was involved in, I think, Facebook and Snapchat, and a few other startups. He's got another startup now, but he happens to know some guys who came out of the fraud industry who are retired, but who have a lot of contacts in businesses and stuff like that. So it's a lot of networking, making contacts in that way also.
Yeah, yeah. Well, because one of the warm leads are always, as much as these
Yeah,
leads are great and you get them, but like once you get your name out there and solidly, like that's the best type of marketing, in my opinion, is getting. And I could tell from you speaking, you're great at interpersonal
yeah,
conversation. So
yeah,
that's the old way of business. Like
yeah,
I'm the president of a union, so like I know like when you're talking to people, like that's
yeah.
everything to me. And I've
Yeah,
had a lot of like in the beginning, I had to get used to this as well, where it's just like everything's online as well. But it's been good. I like the new system. I like the challenge. And yeah, it's just been great. What else have you been doing as far as like have you been doing any social media or anything like that?
Other than LinkedIn, not really. But some email marketing. We use HubSpot, so I've been using that to reach out to like groups at a time. Like there's the Medicaid Fraud Control Unit. So every state has there's like 53, and they publish the name of the directors. Uh, so I put together an email in HubSpot, and I used AI to just take the directory. I printed it out because it has all the names and emails and everything, and I just uploaded. I said, "Okay, put this in a format, CSV or something that I can upload to HubSpot." So it's just so automated now, it's so easy to put these things together, and then you send out the email, and it tracks it. It shows you who opens it, who clicks on the video, and things like that. And so then you can do some follow up from there. So I mean, the tools out there, they're just amazing.
It almost feels like cheating a little bit. You're
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
'cause
exactly. It's like this would have taken me so long forever, sit there and type in everybody's address and stuff like that. It's wild.
yeah. It's you feel guilty, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, like the beauty about AI tools right now is that like I feel like eventually it's going to be integrated into every aspect of life, and I'm excited for it. Because you know what? I've actually gotten a lot of people that are like come up to me and they're scared because they're like, AI is going to take everybody's jobs and this you are an absolute perfect example of how it's not really taking away jobs, it's more transitioning them. Like you were
Exactly.
one of the people that was willing to change, adapt with the environment, and you're doing the same exact thing just more efficiently. You're
Yeah,
just
and
willing.
actually, what we're doing for our customers, is that they would spend weeks and weeks analyzing data instead of doing what they want to do, which is investigate, the crime. So we're helping them. We shrink that down to hours, and so they don't have to waste their time on, the work, the dirty work. So it helps them. It's not taking away their job. They still need investigators, but they don't have to be, data correction and data analysts.
Right, and what's more valuable than saving time, you know? Like, everybody's like, time per hour is different, but at the end of the day, I think saving people time is one of the most efficient, valuable things that you could do.
Yeah. Or
So
another example is like accountants. Do you want to spend your time billing at a high rate, or do you want to spend your time doing, data entry and, data correction and things like that? So
oh, that's right, because it's not just limited to that, right? It's just limited to just like, you can actually use it for a lot of other things, correct?
we actually have something else that I haven't even started to market yet by kind of accident. We had a customer ask us, "Can we do brokerage statements? Can we analyze them?" And I said, "Yeah, we extract the cash transactions like a bank statement." It's like, "No, we have this 97-page brokerage statement, and we want it all in Excel so we can analyze it." So out of that, we now have a function that can extract data from any financial document as long as it has rows and columns and put it into a form to be analyzed. So if you think about this brokerage statement, it has like 20 tables in it. It's got summaries and cash and stocks and all kinds of stuff on different pages. And again, we don't know what's in the document before it gets loaded. So what it does, it goes through any document, figures out what the tables are, puts each table in a worksheet, labels it nicely and formats it nicely. And then you have a book, a whole Excel workbook with all these little tables in it, ready for analysis, whatever it is. 'Cause even in, the fraud cases, they do payroll, they do general ledgers, they're looking for all kinds of financial things, payroll, that happens. So that's another thing that we haven't even started to market yet that's built in.
Mm. I mean, the sky's the limit as long as you like, it's the tool really, like, you're just limited to how you can use it. And
Yeah.
actually, with that, I have a question because, um, when I was trying to switch over our contract for the union, it's a huge, massive paper, like, 100
Mhm.
pages long, and whoever had scanned it, their only physical copy that they had is one that one of these older guys had just scanned, and he scanned it all messed up. So, like, the words at the bottom were twisted or whatever. Is that would is your program something that would be able to, like, kinda translate that? Because I had trouble scanning it.
I would say it depends how bad it is. I've done stuff that has coffee stains on it or it's got notes on it. People write notes, they're balancing their checkbook and stuff like that. That we can handle. I mean, if it was scanned in so badly, it depends. Could it,
It
extract
wasn't
the
bad,
data?
dude.
Yeah.
You know what it was? It was legible, like, to me and you could read it, but when every time I would try to scan it with the thing, just
Oh,
because it wasn't, like, centered or
right,
whatever,
right.
like,
Yeah.
is that something that you'd be
Yeah,
able
yeah,
to
that shouldn't be a problem. As long as you've got, all the data on the page, it can read it. Wanted to go back a little bit. A lot of the programs that are still out there today, they use templates. That's how they did this before. So they would take the document input and match it up to a template for that bank. Well, guess what? If it's skewed, if it came in, sideways, it's not exactly perfect or things like that, it couldn't do it. So we don't
Mm,
care. It can be sideways, it can be upside down. Sometimes people put in pages upside down and things like that. As long as it's all there on the page, it should be, we pick it up.
that's awesome. I'm always interested to find out about new technology and entrepreneurs like you that are, like, just revolutionizing things that would have taken months to do. Again, I'm in the same space, so, like, I definitely appreciate your work. I wanna thank you so much, Barbara, for coming on. I had a pleasure, and if anybody wants to find you or reach you, where can they find you at?
The easiest way is probably email Barbara at efraudservices.com, or I'll give you our local number. We're in Naples, Florida, 239 and happy to speak with anybody anytime. And David, thank you very much. I really appreciate being on the show with you and I enjoyed it.
No problem, Barbara. Thank you so much for your time as well. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.